Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here really quickly in between my meetings and talk to you guys about something that really I've been talking to you about throughout this week. One of the things that I shared with you guys throughout this week is something my hubby shared with me about staying consistent, about being consistent with what we're doing. And I asked you if you struggled with consistency, and a lot of you said that you did struggle with consistency. And so I'll tell you that I've been going to God about the strategy He gave me at the beginning of this year, and literally He's been telling me, I've told you what I wanted you to do. And I don't know if you guys do that. Like you go back and you're like, God, you sure? Like, are you sure this is something you want me doing? He's like, I ain't changed my mind. Like, what's going on? Like, this is what I instructed you to do. Well, I read this verse today when I was doing my journaling, and I wanted to share it with you. And then I wanted to just share some tips that I feel like God shared with me on what to do when we're struggling with just being obedient. So let me read this verse to you really quickly. So in 2 Corinthians 2:9, Paul is writing to the Corinthians, and he says, another reason I wrote you was to see if you would stand the test and be obedient in everything. And that was like a whoa. Y'all ever read a verse and like, where this been? Where has this been? Like, it was a whoa for me because it was my first time reading it. And so in this verse, just a little background at first. In this verse, Paul's authority has been questioned by someone. And basically the Corinthians, brought this person before them, and he repented, he asked for forgiveness. And now Paul is telling the Corinthians to forgive them, to forgive whoever it is. And he's saying to them, I wrote you asking you to forgive that person, to really stand the test and see if you would be obedient in that obedience. And I think that's just sometimes what God does with us. Let's just talk about just offense or someone hurting you. God may say, forgive them. And you're like, no, that was number 10. So I ain't doing it today. But God could be testing you to see if you're going to be obedient. The same goes with our obedience. So the same goes with our business. Sometimes God gives us things to do that does not make sense. Say He tells you, I want you to go on there every day and just post something about your business. And you're like, nobody even knows about my page. I'm not doing that. But He's testing you to see if you will be obedient, to see if you can handle other things that He's going to ask you to do for His children, for this world, being a light. He's testing you in that. And so that really stood out to me today. And I sat and I thought about it. And I wrote down 4 things that I believe that will help us tremendously when we're struggling to literally be obedient to God. Because if you're walking throughout this life, you know that sometimes God instructs us to do things that doesn't make sense. He may have you working in a place and you know that you're called for more, but He says, I want you here. And you're like, I'm tired of being here. This is frustrating. I no longer feel passionate about it, but God's like, I need you here because I'm developing you. And in that moment, you know that this is a test to see if you can be obedient in the places that He wants you, because He can see way more than we can. So, first thing we can do when we're struggling with obedience is prepare our heart for obedience. So what does that mean? A lot of times that just means letting go of our stubbornness. Letting go of what we believe we should be doing for our business. Letting go of what we believe we should be doing concerning the people around us. Just really letting go of that stubbornness and listening to God. Listening to what He's instructing us to do. Following that path, no matter what happens, just following behind Him and what He's saying do. Like letting go of what our will is, so that we can really, really get clear on what God's will is. Because we can pray all day, but if we're praying and our heart is set on hearing God say the things that we desire for Him to say, we're not going to hear Him. We're going to be confused. We're going to be divided. We're going to be frustrated. But when we say, okay, God, I've tried it all. I've done it all, and I really want to hear what you want me to do. And we surrender our will. We surrender that place. We get clear. We actually forgive the people that we're holding grudges against, because that's a part of preparing our hearts for obedience. It's basically having a clear pathway so that God can speak to you and you truly hear him. So that's the first thing that I believe that we can do when we're struggling with obedience, is prepare our hearts to be obedient. Second thing is we've got to let go of fear. So a lot of things God asks his children to do is not in our comfort zone. That's just not it, because God wants us to depend on him. He wants us literally to lean and depend on him. And so a lot of the things that he's going to ask us to do is going to be completely out of our comfort zone. It's going to be something that is honestly, fear will be present, but we've got to let go of fear and grab on to courage. Not saying that it will go away easily. You may have to do it afraid, like Joyce Meyer says, but do that thing afraid anyway, and trust God that he's going to be there, that he's going to do the heavy lifting. He's just using you as his vessel. One of the things that I love about Mel Robbins, she's a motivational speaker and an author, and I absolutely love her, is she talks about the 5-second rule. And in this 5-second rule, she basically says, whatever you're thinking about doing, count to 5 and do it within those 5 seconds. Don't let your brain talk you out of it. I think a lot of times God may give us things to do and we talk ourselves out of it. Like, was that guy? I don't even know if I should do that. That doesn't make sense. And plus, I don't even know how people will respond to that. What if whatever idea comes to mind, you count to 5, and in that 5-second rule, you've already done it. You've already reached out to that person to make that connection. You've already made that post. You've already put up that blog. Whatever it may be, within those 5 seconds, you begin working on it. Third thing is stop looking at the response. So, social media is social media. The people around you are the people around you, but you have to stop paying attention to the response. What God has called you to do, you have to know so securely within you that how anyone else responds around you, you still know that it was him that called you. You still know that it was him that told you to start that business. You still know that it was him that gave you that idea. You still recognize that it was God. Jesus was rejected so many times, y'all. Jesus went to his hometown and they couldn't even really receive what he was doing because they was like, ain't that Jesus? You know Jesus back in the day, little Jesus, Mary and Joseph Jesus, that's Jesus up there. What's going on? Jesus was even rejected. People couldn't see past who he was and who he used to be to really see what God had created him to be. It's going to be the same for you. It's going to be hard for people to grasp, and that's okay. And that doesn't mean you walk around mad at those people. They're just not your people. But there is a people out there that's literally for you, that's literally waiting on your gifts, that's literally waiting to receive the things that you can bring to this world, that's literally waiting on your light. And so you have to find your people, not get mad at people, not be frustrated with people because they can't see what you see. Everybody's not going to see your vision, and everybody's not your people. You have to get out of that comfort zone and get around the people that need those things, that need those gifts, that believe in that vision because they're out there. Fourth thing, keep doing it. Keep going. You don't have to go back and ask God if he's sure, because one thing about God is when we're moving in the direction that he has instructed us, when he's ready for us to take another direction, he'll tell us. He'll just show up and say, I want you to do this thing differently this way. And no, it's not going to be this audible voice, but it will make sense. You may see like a YouTube video and it's like a confirmation of something you felt within. Then you may be driving down the road and you see a sign on a car that's literally a confirmation of something you've heard within. Or you may see like a post on social media, confirmation of something you've heard within. But you'll know that God is saying, this is what I want you to do next. This is what I'm desiring from you. God redirects us so many times, and it's not taking us away from what his original purpose was. He's saying, oh, this is how I want to use you in this season. And we have to trust him. We have to keep doing what he's commanded. So I'm going to go over those things again. 4 things that I believe will help you when you're struggling with obedience. 1, prepare your heart for obedience. 2, let go of fear. 3, stop looking at the response. 4, keep doing it. So I hope this has helped you guys. That verse I read was 2 Corinthians 2:9. I encourage you to go read it and just see what God may be speaking specifically to you, where he's testing you to see if you'll be obedient. Have a great Tuesday.